Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for the second training in our digital marketing series. I'm so excited. We have 90 days. We're finishing out 2020 with 90 days of digital marketing, and I am so excited for tonight and having Jennifer Seeley come and teach us about branding. I have known Jennifer for a year now, and Jennifer's actually has redone my own branding. That's how I know how good she is. And she has taught me so much about branding and the ins and outs about branding. It has been absolutely an educational experience for me as she has gone through my businesses and shown me different things. Everything from colors and stuff like that. I still can remember the day that she looked at my headshot that I had, and she's like, "Do you know your face is green?" And that's all I can see about that headshot now is that I have this green face. And it's so funny because I was so proud of that headshot until I saw that. So funny. Anyway, Jennifer is going to teach so much information tonight, and I can't wait for her to share her background and her knowledge with everybody about how to take where you are now and the branding and the opportunity that you have to really influence your business and influence your ideal customer and what we taught last week and really take your business to the next level. I'm so grateful for the different partners that we have to put on these series like this. We so appreciate the funding that we have by the SBA, and we are partnered with, and so the funding is in part through a cooperative agreement through the U.S. Small Business Administration. We also work with Utah State University here in Blanding, and we're grateful to BOSS, the Utah BOSS Network, for helping us with our marketing purposes for this series. So I'm going to turn the time over to Jennifer Seeley and have her teach us about branding this evening. Jennifer?
Thanks so much, Megan. I'm super excited about all of this. So let me get my screen shared for us and then pop the thing into, you know, the big picture. Go ahead. There we go. Does that look right? No, now it looks right. Okay, good. All right. So I want to do a different kind of style of workshop. I want to actually do some work in the workshop. So if you are in a place where you don't have a lot of noise around you, feel free to leave yourself off mute and tuck in questions whenever you've got them. I have no problems with that because I want you to get out of this what is best for you. So also, if you don't have a notebook or handy, I want you to go grab some paper, something, so that you can write things down because we're going to be doing some writing. Could work on a computer screen, but I find in this case, scribbling is way better. So, because you're going to do some scribbling and circling of things and that kind of thing. So Cassie just went to get a notebook. Good job, Cassie. All right, so we are going to jump straight in and start. I want to start you off strong with an exercise. So here we go. So I want to really quickly recap. Rod last week taught us that we need to define our story, our purpose, the big idea, and what success means for us. And if I had not been in Rod's workshop last week, we'd be covering those same things because those things truly are critical. But because I was in Rod's workshop last week, we're going to go both a step back and a step forward and go right over the top of, because we don't need to repeat that information. So he also taught us that we need to understand our customers so that we can transform our customers, which I love. I love that he used the word transform our customers because so many of us are in business to help people something. We want to help people something. And so the transformation of customers is what that's all about. We use branding to help us to do that. So, and then finally, Rod talked about having a story for each individual segment of the business. And that is also a branding thing, that you want to have that all built out so that you and all of your team understands the same story. So in this workshop, I want you to develop the foundation for your brand, understand how branding can help you, and know what to do with your brand once it's developed. So I want to dive right into the foundation of your brand, which is you. Now, a lot of you work on teams. For this first exercise, we are going to talk about just you. So if you have a team and your team members are present, like they're sitting on the, outside the camera range, they're going to do the exercise separately from you. It needs to be just you for this first exercise. Let me quickly put my notes in front of me so that I make sure I cover what I was supposed to cover. Thanks. All right. So on the next slide, it's a very long list of words. And here's what I'm going to have you do with it. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and I have my timer here, so I give you 5 full minutes. And you're going to read through the words, and in your notebook, I want you to write down any word that is important to you, that expresses your personality, that expresses your goals, that expresses how you interact with people, any of the words that are important to you. And what we're doing is I want to right up front define your core values. And this is a quick and dirty method of doing this, and I'll tell you about it, how to really make it work later on. But I want to just dive right in and let you do your core values. Now, if you cannot read the words that I have on my screen, would you just, turn off your mute and let me know? And I have timed myself reading the words for 5 minutes. So I happen to know it comes out the exact, so I can actually read them out loud if you need me to do that. All right, everybody get your notebooks ready. Here we go on this list of words. And I'm going to set up a timer. So skip right over words that mean nothing to you. You're going to, as I said, write down the words that are important to you and your way of doing anything. And reset and timer. And you probably want to come out with 20 or so that are important to you. Does anybody need me to read them for you? Say so now. I noticed that we were just joined by someone, so I'm just going to quickly tell you what we're doing, and everybody else keep working on it. We are defining your core values, so I want you to read through this list of words and write down the words that have the greatest importance for you. They are your personality, they are your goals, they are how you want to interact with each other, with other people in your life. So write down, we want a good solid list, maybe 20-ish or so words that represent you. And we are about 2.5 minutes in, so there'll be another 2.5 minutes of focusing on this exercise. Just one more minute. I did forget to say that if you find yourself writing down what you think is really close, a synonym, they're really close in meaning, group those things together. About 10 more seconds. Okay, now, as I said, this is kind of a really quick way to do this. I have already sent to Megan, she has it to send to you all, this exact exercise, because it does take a little bit of pondering time, but I want to deal with the words that you just pulled out as we go throughout the workshop. So Megan will be able to send that to you after the workshop, and you can repeat the exercise in a time when we didn't have to keep it on the timer. So, so now let's take a second here, and I'm going to move off this screen. Apologies to those of you who aren't quite done, but I'm going to move off this screen. So now I want you to take the words that you wrote down as the words that resonate with you the most, and you're going to group them in 3 to 5 categories. You can group them any way that makes sense for you. I cannot actually tell you what is going to make sense for you. So I grouped mine when I first did this exercise by what I wanted people to think about me. There was that aspect of it. What I felt like was myself, how my goals were, and I had a bunch of different groupings while I massaged and really worked on those words to make them say something that I wanted to, that would make me understand myself better, is honestly how it came out. So begin grouping them. As you're grouping them, and you do notice synonyms, look at if the word really means the same thing, but you wrote it down twice, or the idea twice, because that's what it would be. Cross out the one that has the least value to you, just so you can narrow down the number of words in each category. And then if you have more than 5 categories, we're going to drop any categories over 5. If you have a 6th or 7th, you're just going to not deal with those today. When you get your categories, and I am going to give you 3 minutes, when you get your categories, you're going to take a look at your categories and choose one word that represents the entire category and that really is going to represent you. So you don't want to, you're going to, narrow it down, but then you're going to really narrow it down to a single word that is the one that really represents you. And I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do that, because I think the categorizing is harder than than they're actually writing down. So, but I'm going to give you 3 minutes to kind of massage those words. About 1 more minute. As you're finishing up, well, that final step is what we're going to do next. We're going to organize the top 5 values into a priority list for you. So now as you're thinking about that one word that represents the category, organize them from top to bottom as best you can. And that's our 3 minutes. As I said, Megan already has this to send to everyone. So you're going to get a full copy of this, and you can take more time coming up. But I want to hear from a couple of you. What did this do for you? What was your top 3 core values? Turn off your microphones and tell us what this just a few minutes of doing this pulled out for you. What are your top 3 values?
Hey, so my top 3, this is Talia.
Hi, Talia.
Hey,
Does everybody recognize Talia in the picture?
I did.
I'm not going to show you my hair today, so I'm so but so mine were innovation, personal development, integrity. Do you only want 3?
Sure. You go ahead and give us 5 if you want. I don't care.
The other one I had was creativity and caring.
I love it. Those are fabulous top values. I love it. Who else? I can't read your name. Santhosh, you just turned off your microphone. Tell us your top 3 to 5.
Hey, good evening. Talia introduced me to this system, so this is great.
Yeah.
Top 5, I guess I got happiness, generosity, excellence, leadership, and vision.
Nice. Those are amazing values. Really good.
Thank
One
you.
more person. Who else who is willing to tell us what they found in this? I'm totally willing to pick on people. I just want you all to know that now. Cassie, how about you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So accountability, balance, compassion, vision, stability.
I love it. I love it. Those are amazing values. I feel like once you really get down to them, you have this opportunity to look at yourself in a whole new way. You find that you are labeled in a way that really is really beautiful. Talia's top value of innovation, and Santhosh, I apologize for murdering your name. Sorry. I might call you
Just
Mr.
call me
Matthews.
happy.
I might call you Mr. Matthews, and we'll call that good.
That's quite all right.
I love those words that they bring out. So I want to tell you a little bit about my experience with this, and help you see how you're going to be using these words. So you see my 5 there at the bottom of the screen. So this is actually a journal entry I did, and I wanted to include the full journal entry because I want this to be a big hint for you guys as you're building your business, as you're doing new things, you need to always go back and take some time to journal about it. What did it give to you? What did you learn? Because I know as I went back and looked at this journal entry, which I actually haven't looked at in probably 6 months, but when I got prepped for this presentation, it was already in my presentation. So I looked at it and went, oh my gosh, I really am so grateful that I wrote this down. But what happened, because what happened to me is I did these values. I wrote them all down on day one, and I massaged them around. And if you look at mine, some of my original ones were service, spirituality was one of them. And I think the other one was resourcefulness. Those were all some of my top values. And I got them written down, and I'm like writing them in beautiful cursive and going, yeah, these are not quite right. So I slept on it. I slept on it a night, and I went back, and I didn't go back to the original page of the long list. I went back to just the words I'd written down that resonate with me. And I took the time to reorganize them according to what I wanted out of life. So I changed the reason for my categories and chose, this is what I want out of life. And then I wrote this journal entry. So I want to quickly read it to you. It says, putting my core values into words that I can use as priorities and steps for my life is an amazing new way to look at things. My top core value is connection to God, connection to family and others. This is the reason why branding photography is my niche. It allows greater connection to clients and the opportunity to help them in ways they don't even understand at the beginning. My remaining core values, excellence, creativity, balance, and contribution, are guides in much the same way. I love the guidance they provide. I also see how they are built on each other. To begin a business, there's a considerable contribution, but contribution can't be all there is, so balance is needed. With balance comes order, and with order, you open the possibility of creativity. Creativity is useless without the drive for excellence, and excellence doesn't matter unless it creates connection. So for me, my core values are, if I were to draw them out, which I want you'll do in the exercise that Megan's going to send you later. If I were to draw them out, I draw them as a step where contribution, and then balance, and then creativity, and then excellence, and then connection. Because it's a stepping process that you have to step on the step first to get to it. And that was how I organized it. You may organize yours in all kinds of ways. A big circle with the top one and the middle one, all four going equally in. It could be a ladder that you'll draw. It could be any way that works for your brain that you will do, choose one that's your top priority and the others do something. I can stop talking now. Make them yours. Make them yours. Because once you have those core values, you're going to then build a brand on top of those core values. So before all the story stuff that Rod gave us last week, this is what I would have started with. And so this is like step 0, and now all of Rod's stuff goes in there, and then we're going to jump over that to step 2. Does that make sense how we're going to plan this? So let me change my notes so I'm on the right page. So now that with this foundation, I want to introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Seeley. I'm a branding guide and branding photographer. I help you connect to your inner excellence and creatively express yourself to attract those you're meant to serve. That, my friends, is what we call a brand promise. The brand promise must be built on your core values and on your brand story, which we'll get into in just a second. This brand promise is, you see my core values in there, but they no longer apply to me. They apply to my customers, because guess what your core values also are? They're not only values, they're probably your talents. They're such a part of who you are that you're already good at them. And so that opportunity to label that and go, I'm actually really good at connection. I'm good at connecting businesses to businesses. I'm good at connecting friends to other friends. I'm good at connecting graphics together. I'm good at connecting images in photography so that I can build a story. I am good at connection. So I now can give it to you because I connect you to your own inner excellence. Excellence, if you remember, was my second value. So a brand promise is that opportunity to put your core values into action. Here's what you're going to do. So again, notice that the core values are no longer about me. They're about what I can do for you. And when you're giving your core values to others, you're branding from a place of integrity. And that is critical in the process. If you try to brand from a place of money making or almost anything else, the branding won't be effective for you. It won't last. You'll get burned out on it. That's how it goes. So let's see. By the way, that's me in the picture. So it's the only picture in my presentation that I didn't actually take. All the rest of the pictures are pictures that I've taken. So I just wanted to make it clear as you just look at smiling people, it's not usually me. All right, so let's take a second here. And I want you to think about these core values and what I've just told you about them. I'm going to give you an example of the answer to this question, and then I want to hear from a couple of you. What's one thing your business does or will start doing to reflect your core values? So as I said, I'm a branding photographer, and I use, one of the ways that I use connection is that I help you brand yourself before I come to take your pictures. So that means I am connecting with you. In order to build excellence, I have to connect with you. I also try to take a super creative approach. So those are my top three: connection, excellence, creativity. All of those things are part of that connecting process. So we have a strategy session before I come to take your pictures because I need to know who you are so that I can capture it on camera. So that is one of the ways that I use my core values in my business. So I know these are super fresh and new to you, but does anybody have any thoughts? What of your core values is something you do in your business? Turn off those microphones, turn on the microphones and let me hear from you. I might pick on Megan first just to give everybody else time to talk to think about it. Megan, tell us one of yours.
Well, in our business, we have 3 core values, and they have absolutely nothing to do with what you would think of regular finance. So Talia and I own a wealth management firm together, and our 3 core values are inclusion, education, and engagement. And engagement is the one I'm going to talk about. So we wanted to give back to the community, and we wanted to serve. And so something that we decided to do is we started the Legacy Project so that we could give back and serve in the community. And the reason why we wanted to do that is we want our agents to remember why they do what they do, why we're in finance, to get back into the communities that are so important, and remember why. Because a lot of times in the financial industry, you start making some money and you get your big fancy cars or your big fancy houses and you forget where you came from. And we didn't ever want our agents to forget where we came from. And so our agents do a service project once a month under the Legacy Project. And it's had a massive impact on who they are and how we serve our clients.
I love it. I love it. Perfect example of connecting your core values with what you actually do in your business. Anybody else? I'm ready to pick on somebody. Is there someone else who'd like to share?
Shane became unmuted for a minute. I don't know if he wanted to share or not.
Shane, would you like to share something, your thoughts?
Yeah, I had somebody come in, so I had to shut the microphone off.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It's all good.
So my top 3 were family, creativity, and quality. And my business is creating custom saddles and boots. And so I feel like all of my customers are family, and I use my creativity to build them a high quality product. So that's my 3 values.
I love it. I love it. You're the one who puts the fancy designs on the boots. Is that the creativity we're talking about?
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
So I have never owned a good pair of cowboy boots, but I understand they're both the most comfortable shoes you can wear because they are crafted with such quality. Am I right?
They are. They're made for you. They're not made for anybody but Jennifer Seeley.
Once you start thinking about it, I feel like it's something that comes out fairly easily. You already are doing your core values because, again, they're part of who you are. They're part of where you start your thinking and how you act on a daily basis. Does anybody else want to share something, or are we ready to move on? Fabulous. Let's move on. All right. So why branding? What is the power of branding? This is a dog trainer, by the way. And so I get to do dogs actually fairly often. You'd be surprised how often dogs get involved in branding shoots, but it was a super fun shoot to do. But so the power of branding, a unique, attractive, effective brand helps the business to educate your team in the goals and promises of the business, develop consistent, distinctive messaging, and become top of mind and a product of choice over all the other similar products out there. Now, I remember Cassie was a campground owner from last week. She told us that. But you also told us there are lots of them. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. And when you're dealing with a large market of where there's a lot of you, the brand helps to set you apart from everybody else. This list is particularly behind the business end. It's the back of the business that your customers are not seeing. And I wanted to have this list in here because a customer is not going to see how you've educated, but you are going to educate people in your brand. And so that is the power of branding, is it becomes an education process. It becomes how you put together the messaging that you'd share with everyone else. And as you share that messaging and stay on that top of mind, you become the product that people recommend. They recommend others to your product, is how I should say that. So the power of branding is that it helps on the back end, the foundation of a business. But moving forward, it also means a great deal to customers. So branding is the solution to standing out from your competition so that all the other campgrounds are paled by Cassie's awesome campground, right? It is becoming memorable so that others will refer customers to you. So when people say, I'm going to go camping in Blanding, they'll go to Cassie's campground. Cassie, you probably have to tell me the name of your campground so that I actually knew it. But they'll refer customers. Go ahead, Cassie.
Sunset Campground.
Sunset Campground. Okay, thanks, Cassie. So when you tell people about your campground, you'll also sell without feeling salesy, because you'll be so excited by what your campground can do for you. That, by the way, has that coin that also you can charge what you're worth and charge what because you believe in what you're okay. Because you believe so much in your brand, you'll be able to feel comfortable with the prices that you charge. That's the other side of that coin. And that's my favorite part about it, because it took me a little while to get to where I was comfortable with what I charge. But that's the other side of the coin. When your brand is something of tremendous value, you sell without feeling salesy and you charge what you're worth. Then you can reach people that you're meant to serve, because as Rod said last week, we are on this earth to serve people around us. And we're on this earth to help people with our businesses. That's really, really a part of the process. So you'll be reaching people you meant to serve. And then here's my favorite one, working with clients who appreciate you. Because how many times have we dealt with the customer who thinks that the boots should have been red instead of rust? right? And they don't give you the information you need to do your job well, and so on and so forth. Working with clients who appreciate you, and at the end, having money be a part of the flow of your business. Those are the things that branding can do for you. That flow of your business, as I said, you never want to have your goals for your business. Actually, you'll have financial goals. That's different from having money, making money as your business's goal. Money should flow through your business, and that's part of what your brand does for you. So let's see, moving forward. After you've defined your core values, how do you begin the process of branding? The branding begins, the number one thing that you'll do after your core values is you write your story. Now, Rod walked us through that really beautifully last week. So I just want to reiterate the reasons you want to do your story. Your story communicates who you are. It shares why you do what you do, illustrate what it's like to work with you, attracts those you're meant to serve, and repels those who you don't want to work with. When you share your story with other people, it's part of the process, because as people see you and where you've gone in your journey, they realize they can do it themselves. So when you share your story, you're empowering them. Okay, there's a lawnmower that just started up outside my window. Are you guys hearing that, or is it okay? Okay, good. Okay. Paula, my window's open, but I'll close it if I need to. So I'm not going to go into story a great deal because we covered it beautifully last week. The one parts that I feel like we want a little bit more coverage on is these questions. To take the time to write them out as they are a journal entry. And so these questions: why did you choose the business that you're in? What did you learn along the way of choosing or developing your business? What talents or experiences make you good at your chosen business? What has the product or service done for you? What do you hope the product will do for those who buy it? So really thinking through, Rod's stuff is part of this as well, but writing it out in a journal way where you just really let your thoughts flow helps you to tell that story in a way that is something that you can use well later on. It will always connect back to your core values. And if it doesn't, it needs to be looked at, or your core values need to be looked at. The brand story and the core values are connected together like that. Woo! And so if you want to have these, if you want to have it, not be writing them down right now, take a screenshot or pop over right over to my website and grab the free ebook, Branding Puzzles, where these questions and a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today are already written out for you. So that's Gray Havens with a S on Havens, and the gray has an A. So, but this will be at the end as well. So don't worry that if you missed this information. All right, and also please notice our beautiful, beautiful Megan in the pictures. These are some of the branding photos that we did for her. And let's see, let me make sure I've covered everything in my notes. And also, are there any questions up to this point?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Go for it, Talia.
So one thing that, because collaboration is a really important thing for me. And one of the things that I've noticed is that if I can tell your story, it makes it so much easier for people to have confidence as I refer your services. And so if you don't know your story, I don't know your story. And if I don't know your story, if you feeling awkward about it, it's awkward for me. And so it's kind of a process that if you're willing to go through, it's so helpful for others to be part of your network and actually really helping you. And that's something that I think is why story is so powerful. And sitting down and taking the time to answer those questions, and that it is kind of hard sometimes because you feel a little embarrassed at first. At least I did, and it's worth it though to really understand like where you're coming from. Absolutely, and putting it into words especially. Because as I said with my journal entry, it's going to mean a lot to you later on. It's going to mean a lot because, as Megan said, reconnecting to where you started is
critical to the process. You need to know why your brand is what it is. And if you don't have that story written down so that you can read it, everyone can read it, you can tell it, and so can other people. Thank you, Talia. That was a beautiful contribution. I appreciate it really a lot. All right, moving forward. All right. Oh, see those same boxes? I'm not going to read through them all again, but your story helps with those same boxes. I wanted that specifically to be repeated. Your story helps you stand out from the competition, etc., etc. When your story is grounded in your values and your desire to help people in their own journey, your story becomes a major part of your branding process. You can learn in all 6 of these areas to grow your business effectively as you brand yourself. And that becomes a major part of the process. So I want to jump into the how of branding. We're going to talk a little bit about branding, brand identity. Brand identity are the visual look of the brand. It is what most people think branding is. I hear it all the time. Oh, I have a logo. I'm already branded. It's not true. A logo is a great place to start if it's built on your core values. But you do have to have a lot of this foundation work done before you know if your logo is going to be truly valuable. You can see my logo in the bottom of this screen that I have the super stylized camera, the curvy font, and the foundation font. Each of those things has its own meaning and value inside of my brand. And so it was super fun to walk through the process of how to develop that logo. It's not something we're doing specifically today. We're going to start at the very easiest part of the branding process, the one that's easiest for you to implement too, which is color. Okay, so now lean forward if you have to, because I know some of those words are small. But I want you to take a look at these color meanings and compare it directly to the core values you have already selected, and pick colors based on your core values. Now, is every single word in there, is your core value going to match up directly to these colors? No. You're going to have to go something close to it. For example, for Shane, his top value was family. And so I would actually put that into the orange category because family for me is warmth. And so for other people, and because Shane also said generosity, he would be in the green category. So we're going to ask you, Shane, to tell us what you think about that. But take a second and look at the colors and their color meanings. By the way, I do have another slide that has even more of the colors on there, because these are the primary colors for the most part. And there are all the colors in the middle, like teal and rust and periwinkle and chartreuse. Those colors combine ideas. And so if you cannot decide between, I picked the wrong ones for Shane. Let me move to campground. Let me think for just a second for you, Cassie. I would say
mine.
Go, Cassie.
I changed. So mine's the top one would be adventure, calmness, happiness, freedom. And the last one was challenge, because that was a challenge to get that together. So,
Nice.
So
what would you choose?
Oh my gosh. So there was the navy, but I didn't really know. It was green that I saw. But I don't really like green. I love green, but I don't really, because that has the balance. But where's the adventure? Can you help me out?
Red.
Red?
Active, exciting, bold. Those are the words that are going to be super close to adventure.
It's right in bold. I should have seen it, like the big. Thank you. Anyway, so red would be. So while you're talking, I swapped mine up.
It's all good. You're going to swap them up about 3 or 4 more times. That's why I'm having Megan send you the exercise. It's all good. So plus you have more than one core value, right? So Cassie, remind me what your second core value was now that you've changed them.
Calmness. Well, there's calmness, balance, connection. I kind of put them together.
So you know what? those are red, white, and blue.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. I was like,
Which is not a bad thing, especially not for a campground. I mean, I think that's totally fine. But those are what brings to mind on those words. So red. Well, let me just go forward. It'll make more sense. All right. So really quickly, let me talk about how to combine colors super fast. So again, we're going to go through this quickly, but you can combine colors in different ways for different feelings. So the combination of colors can represent your core values as well. For example, if you look at the one on the bottom right, that is the split complementary is what it's called. It uses 2 cool colors and 1 warm color. You can switch it, by the way, and do the opposite. You can do 2 warm and one cool. But that particular thing is going to be calmness with a zinger color. And so that is a little like adventure to me, because I think of adventure as hiking is the adventure that I would do. And you walk along and you walk along and walk along, and then bam, you've got vista, right? And so I would do a split complementary color scheme, which is, if you think about, if you went to Americana colors and did tan, red, and blue, that would be a split complementary color scheme for adventure. So, I mean, that was one way to approach it. So I gave you one example of how a brand has used. This one is the analogous color scheme where they're all together. The analogous on the screen is the middle of the top, and it is showing 3 colors close together. Well, this particular example is 3 colors that are farther around the wheel. So those are orange, purple, and red, but they're, you know, they're farther around the wheel. But they've used just those colors, and then every time now and then they'll pop in a blue. And so that's how they've chosen to use their colors, but they're predominant colors with neutrals, gray and tan and black, white, they're all neutrals, but they have their own meaning. Anyway, so the different ways you choose the colors and the intensity of the color also has to do with your branding and how you might choose to represent your core values in your colors. Where are colors used? Colors are used in your website. Colors are used in your social media posts. Colors are used in your company t-shirts and hats, right? Those are where you would put some of those colors. If I were doing your branding shoot, we would talk about how to work those colors in gentle ways into your clothing. So you'd wear a scarf. One of the shots, I don't have it here for us, is Megan in a yellow jacket with a blue dress, because Blue Ocean's colors are blue and yellow. So Megan, can you tell us why? No, Talia is the one to ask this question. Talia, why the blue and the yellow? What do they mean for you? Did we lose Talia?
You didn't lose me. I just couldn't find unmute. So actually, there was 2 reasons. The blue represents the trust that we want to build. It added professionalism for what we were doing. And one of the challenges in standing out was we wanted to remain really feminine in a very masculine industry. And so we chose to go with a really bright, happy yellow that we could, and then we also kind of use gold sometimes too, but the yellow was really intended to allow us to shine as women owners. And I think that's important because that does often not get distinguished. And I think that it adds a lot of value to what we bring to the table, because we do things differently.
Thank you, Talia. I really appreciate that. So I've given you yet another chart here that has a few more color boxes on it. Go ahead and take a look at that. And then I want to hear from a couple of more of you. We've already heard from Cassie, and Cassie, thank you for your comments. But I want to hear from a couple more of you. Just an initial pass, and I know it's an initial pass. What colors would you select to go with the core values you've identified today? Susan Matthews, are you available?
The one I wanted to pick on's not on anymore. We were going over this week while she was here in the office, and so I wanted to see what her take is on now that she's heard it from you too.
Ah, cool.
Santosh, I want to hear what yours are.
Um, we run a nonprofit. I think Talia and Megan should be aware of it. We run a nonprofit, and we are beneficiaries of their legacy project. So thank you guys very much. The organization is called Love Without Reason. We do facial surgeries and also in the fight against human trafficking. When talking about colors, the colors that we picked were red and teal, black. That's what's on our logos. So I don't know if that's what you're looking at.
Well, I wanted to hear what you thought
The-
about the connection between your core values and the colors.
It's pretty
Remind us what your core values were again.
okay. It's pretty interesting. I mean, the core values are happiness, generosity, excellence, leadership, and vision. Those were the core values that I picked.
Oh my goodness, you just make my heart sing, Sanshataposh. What fantastic core values for a nonprofit that reaches out to people and to get them out of trafficking. Those are because they're such the end result you want for all of those people. And I love that those core values would represent something you can give to people who have had so much trauma. That just makes my heart happy. I'll get a little teary-eyed. Everybody excuse me. But go on. What if you're going to pick colors to go with your core values, what might they be based on this chart?
I see green as being one of, I think the one that stands out the most. And then there is white, which also I believe.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Right.
Absolutely agree. I would also probably put in yellow. I could see a brand based in those analogous colors to do turquoise green and yellow or blue green and yellow. That they're those calmer colors, especially and the teal that you're already using, of course. But when you mix red and teal, you get a lot of energy. That's a lot of energy, which might be exactly what your brand needs to be able to use. But because red and teal are opposite each other on the color wheels, those are going to be high energy, where when the colors are close to each other, they're calmer, lower energy. So those are the kinds of things that you would think about in color choices related to your core values. But are your core values your business values? Maybe, maybe not. Like I said, I am really, my heart is very happy to hear those core values in connection with what you do, because they mean a tremendous amount.
True.
Any other thoughts or comments? Does anybody else want to share? Susan or Angie, we haven't heard from either of you. Are you available to tell us what you think about this process?
I doubt if Susan is online. She had
Okay.
earlier, but I don't know if she's on. She's my wife, by the way.
Oh, okay. I just saw first name. Okay. All right. So I want to talk really quickly about my brand colors. This is a PowerPoint presentation that you see. It's your basic PowerPoint presentation, but my brand colors are black and this bright, happy green. It's, in the family of chartreuse, right? All those chartreuses and with all their different saturation levels. And they are my brand colors. And I chose them because I like the groundedness of black, but it's also the luxury brand look, because what I do is in fact it costs money. It costs money what I do. And so I want that to be part of my brand, kind of in the feeling up front, but I also love the groundedness that the black offers me. On the green side, I was going for something that was both healing and living, because branding is a living process. When you get it done in 5 years, you're going to be starting it over, because you'll have learned and grown and become and done so much. You're going to want to up your brand again. And so I love the idea that branding is a living process. but it's also about building wealth, which is also what green means. Green is the color of money, right? So it's also about building that wealth, which branding helps you do that process. So it is a process of helping people become empowered. Black is an empowering color. And it also helps people feel taken care of, because I am in charge. And with photography, most people really love it, that I know what I'm doing and I take charge. And so all of those things are conveyed by the green and the black that I chose for my branding look. And that all came out of building my own branding foundation. So let's take a few minutes. We're gonna end up here on our last, we've got a half an hour left, but I'm gonna end early, so no worries. And talk about the images that you choose. I am a branding photographer, so I want to talk about the images that you choose for your branding. Take a look at these two pictures. It's clearly the same woman in the same environment. Shot taken on, I took the first shot and then I asked her to think about something different and took the second shot. Does one of these shots attract you more than the other? Megan, go ahead.
Sorry, it's Sally. So I was just thinking the second shot, like she seems way more approachable. And the first shot, like I feel like she's almost kind of condescending a little bit.
Okay.
No.
And I thought the first shot was more business and professional, whereas the second shot is more, I would see more in a family, in a home. So I think it depends on which audience you're going after.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So since I know what I told her to think about, I know what the look on her face is portraying. But for me, it comes out as not condescending, but knowing. This is a person who knows who she is. And so but Megan made a fantastic point. Do the images on your website, on your social media, on your flyers, on your wherever you use images, do they tell people what you want them to be told? On the top image, there's a little bit of confidence there. There's a little bit of knowledge. In the bottom image, there's approachability and happiness, and I'm fun to work with. And both shots are valid. Both shots are fantastic headshots. They just have different purposes. So as you think about the images that you have representing your brand, you got to go back to core values and go, do my images show, in my case, connection? Do my images show excellence? Do my images show creativity? And we work hard if I'm your branding photographer to really create those images. Any photography you want to work with, though, those are the things you want to get out of it. You need to have images that communicate your core values. I already said that. Images that show what it's like to work with you. Images that show the best you to the whole wide world, and images that has lasting power as a representation of you at this time in your life. We change a lot. Headshots ought to be done at least every 18 months, and more often is better. And it's because we change and we grow and we do different things with our hair, and we decide a new lipstick is just exactly the right thing, and 6 months later it's so not. All of those things are part of our brand. Our personal image is part of our brand. And so having that opportunity to update your look in your professional advertising is an important part of this. But let's talk about the rest of images. So what images do you need? The difference between headshots and branding. These are all headshots, even though the middle one is hips up. Headshots can be hips up, waist up, or it's breast up, chest up. So the one on the left there is a breast up, and the one on the right is waist up. So headshots the reason for a headshot is connection through the camera. You want the eyes to connect right through the camera so that when you look at that person, you can tell a little bit about who they are. And so a headshot, it has the person is always looking at the camera. That's the value of a headshot, is connection. And you really want to build that. So branding shots are not looking at the camera for all intents and purposes, but they are showing who you are and what you do and what you like to work with. So this particular person is a faith-based business coach. And so taking a picture of her studying her scriptures goes along with her brand. Also interacting with clients while she takes notes, but in a really comfortable environment. And talking with clients in a more conference room setting. All of these represent her. For my very largest package, we do personal life shots as well, because your personal life is part of your brand. So that's why that one got included. But branding shots go farther. They also offer you the opportunity to do advertising. So the one in the bottom right has space on the right side of the picture for words. So she could actually put them in black or white and put words. The picture is smallish for this in this particular slide, but the picture is actually much wider, giving her a lot more space for words. So now it's woman on a phone, and she's talking about, you know, connecting with you through the phone or whatever, and that's what her words say. So those are also what we call banner photos. You need banner photos at the top of a website. You need banner photos at the top of your social media. You need banner photos for the words to go on the side. That's what all of those things are for. So now you kind of catch the vision between a branding image and a headshot image. A headshot image is used in your profile, where a branding image is going to be used throughout your website to represent who you are, what you do, and what you like to work with. All right, we are at the summation. So why branding? So a lot of you are going to look at all this information and go, well, that was lots of fun, and I've got colors now. I can do this. And I hope you can. There's a lot of great resources, and Megan and Talia are fabulous resources on branding. What you want to be looking for when you really do need branding, and probably the help of a professional, is, are you having trouble attracting customers? Are you having trouble sharing a consistent message in your advertising? Are you having trouble knowing what to communicate to attract without having to sell? Because very few of us like selling, but we all like sharing, and branding helps us share all that information. So when you run into these kind of trouble spots, it could be that your brand is not as strong as you need it to be. And when you strengthen that brand based on core values, so it comes from a place of integrity, when you strengthen that brand by writing out your brand story and beginning to share that brand story, when you strengthen your brand by choosing colors and shapes of logos as a part of the thing that I didn't feel like I would have time for, and now I probably did. Sorry about that. Shape of logo is a thing. Color of logo. Is the logo a item or is it words? You know, all of those things are part of the brand identity. And when you strengthen those things and connect them all together, you've got something that will do what you need it to do. Here's my boxes one more time. Branding is an education in standing out from your competition, becoming memorable so that others will refer customers to you, selling without feeling salesy, reaching the people you're meant to serve, working with clients who appreciate you, and at the end, having money be a part of the flow of your business. So not only is branding your story, it also is an education in making your business really and truly thrive. This also, by the way, are the 6 areas where I am going to have actual branding education starting in January of 2021. I'm going to have courses in all 6 of these areas to help people anywhere, they'll all be online, to be able to brand themselves, to be able to have the support that they need to do that. So finally, thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. I had so much fun putting this all together and building off of what I already had and adding new things based on what Rod taught us last week. I really appreciate it. There's all my contact information if you need it. And my website, if you want to jump over and grab the free ebook that walks through a lot of this stuff. And also I do a Facebook group where I give tips and tricks and practice every week. So if you want to join my Facebook group, it's called Inspired Branding. So any questions, any thoughts, any comments?
So I have a question that is kind of related to what Santosh does. And it's about, so a lot of the work that he does is for children in Africa and India who have cleft palate deformities. And one of the tricks that we've been going back and forth, and I kind of wanted to ask you because you're an expert, was how do you illustrate those pictures? Because sometimes they're kind of traumatizing for people. How would you talk about their work through photos? Because sometimes it makes people uncomfortable. That was something they brought up to me.
You know, that one's kind of a hard question for a photographer because I see the beauty in people no matter what. And I've seen those pictures and always thought, what a beautiful child. I'm so glad that there's help for anything that would stop that child from succeeding. But to answer your question, how would you show that in photographs?
To add to what Talia was saying, my own son was born with a lot of deformities, and that's why we started this. It always, it's just, I guess, just me being me. I always wonder, are these pictures? We of course take them from both for marketing purposes and also for our records. So the question always comes up. I mean, are we misusing these pictures? Is it right to do that? Because that's the father side of me talking. The CEO part of me says yes, we need to use it, but then there are people in our leadership team. Some say yes, put those pictures. Some say it's going to offend and turn off people. Same goes with the human trafficking area where we work with sex slaves. We've not put out any pictures of those ladies, and hence we have not really marketed or reached out in terms of human trafficking, because those ladies become very close to us, and so you don't want to say much. So it's a very tricky scenario, but I'm just adding context to what Talia just said.
I appreciate it. Megan, are you going to have a speaker who's going to go into greater detail on the meaning of an ideal client?
I'm not in this series.
Okay.
We'll revisit that after the first of the year.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a second about ideal client. Your ideal client, it's, first of all, most of us hear that term and we think, what are you talking about? Everybody's my client. But it's not true. You're going to communicate with the people who are going to accept graciously your services. And the process of going through and identifying and learning to talk to the people who are going to graciously accept your services is, as you go through that process, that will draw people to you. Your branding draws people to you. And what you need to be able to do is to say, not everybody is going to get it. And guess what, Mr. Matthews? Even if they don't get it, they aren't probably going to give you money and help. And the people who do get it are going to give you money and help.
Right.
And so there's a little bit of, you got to let those people go. If somebody's going to look at a beautiful baby and know that surgery is going to fix that right up, and just go, what a beautiful baby. That's your ideal client. And you need to let somebody who would choose offense at a beautiful baby, let's let them go. The same,
I agree.
something similar with the women that you work with. That is indeed a very touchy area, because we can't see that on their faces. We can't see trauma on their faces. What I would do if I were working with your organization is I would make those women as peaceful, beautiful as possible. I don't want them worldly beautiful. I want them peaceful, beautiful. Does that make sense?
Right.
And when we make them that and take away the trauma and talk about the process, then those pictures have value. Beautiful Jane has gone through a lot in her life, and she has overcome. Because she's overcome, we know we can help others. And then there's beautiful Jane, and she looks amazing and filled with peace. So that focusing on that outcome as opposed to the trauma will attract a few more people than those who might be. I mean, you'd never take pictures of the trauma. So, I mean, we can leave that one aside. But of course, you would want to work with permission. And I have a dear friend who is the president of Women of Worth, who works with women coming out of domestic violence situations and out of polygamy situations where there's been domination, et cetera, et cetera. And that's one of the things I want to do for the women in her life that she works with, is to make them as peaceful, beautiful as possible, so that they can have a picture that says, I am beautiful. I am beautiful. And when you really get to that, I am beautiful, it shines through the face, which is why a baby is never not beautiful. Never. Because babies just, they're beautiful. Anyway, I don't know. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough one, but focusing on that outcome, that's probably how I would approach that.
Okay.
And the story, the overcoming story, that you will hit that niche that you're looking for on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And your story will repel people who aren't going to give you any money anyway.
Right.
You're looking for somebody who's going to give you money.
Right.
Right?
That's true.
Really quick, I want to add in a couple of things.
Yeah.
A lot of people haven't heard of this. Have you ever heard of EDMR treatment?
I have, but you're probably asking Santosh.
So I
Can you
studied
can
up
you
on
repeat that?
EDMR. It's
Okay.
it's a type of counseling instead of taking antidepressants, because normally people that have been through this type of trauma need a lot of help. And yes, antidepressants do help temporarily, but when you go off of those, you go back to your old ways, because they don't go to the chemical, well, the whatever you're taking to whatever it takes to the chemical you're laughing, it goes to your brain to help that. When you quit taking it, you go back to your old ways. Whereas EDMR, the definition is eye movement degeneration reprocessing. And the study, if there's books on it, that they started on this for people that were sexually abused and war vets. And they did a study comparing people that were on antidepressants and EDMR. And with this EDMR, they had long-term help from it. It helps from post-traumatic stress disorder. That's where the World War vets comes in. Very powerful and very helpful. Something to look into to help those people you're helping.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing, Cassie. Great suggestion. Cassie, do you have any questions?
Actually, I'm excited to see where, because kind of got some colors, but then my mind goes everywhere. I'm excited. So no, not at this point, but I'm sure I will.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. It's all good. I really had hoped to give you just that place to start. You know, start with the core values and then notice how your core values can direct everything else. It directs the business choices that you make. It directs the colors that you choose. It directs how you teach other people about your brand. Because it's my understanding that your campground is a family thing. Is that right?
Yeah, so really what happened was this was kind of my safe haven place that I'd always go to, that I could go and study, have time to think when I'm struggling, and I really loved it. And so it was kind of hard for me to let it become a campground, because even though my area wasn't right there, I'm trying to take over the family ranch, and the market for cows is down, and there's just, you can't make an income. So I said, Mom, when COVID happened, I wasn't working anyway. I'm like, hey, can I do a campground? So right now, the long-term goal is, you know, we've already had several campers in there, which is really exciting. In fact, I just got a review saying I need to message that lady back. Super sweet people that I've met so far, clear from Washington, D.C. So we've had a lot of like,
Very cool.
yeah, so it's been really amazing with what we've had. So that's how we got started, is because we've talked about it in the past, but nobody's done it. And this piece of land hasn't been touched since 1976. So all of that sagebrush, I had to hand groom. And thankfully, the missionaries came and helped me, because, wow, I had a chore.
And probably that went on their list of least favorite things to do, because that stuff gets in your, gets everywhere.
Actually, I loved it because it was so quiet. It is so quiet and peaceful down there that was one that Missy, the one that was just stayed there, she's never heard this quiet before. There's always been traffic and different things. So she walked out and she didn't know what to think because it was so quiet. She's like, this isn't normal. And that's what I love about down there. So she got to experience that. So, yep.
Nice. So if I were going to teach a part 2, the very next thing that we would be doing would be to pull up a bunch of websites, and we would all look at the websites, especially in campgrounds, together. And for Cassie Sandfosh, it would be something different for you, but for you, we would look at campground websites. And so Megan gave me the name of one. I won't mention it, but she gave me the name of one, and I went and looked at it and thought, it's their advertising was, I think it was family fun something or other, and I thought, I bet every single campground says it's a family fun environment. What was kind of frustrating for me about it was that they had, one of their amenities was a playground that had weeds growing up in it. I'm like, that doesn't say family fun to me when it's got weeds in it. So, I mean, your images, they mean a lot. They mean a lot, but your words mean a lot as well. So as you're thinking about what you're going to present, do your own research on the other campgrounds and pick stuff that is different from the other campgrounds. That's another reason my colors are green and black, because every other photographer has a white background usually with pink floral stuff as their logo. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of photographers with pink, you know, Amy Jones photography, pink, 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 you know. And I was like, you know what? I'm not, that's not the market I want to be in. So I love that you bring up the word quiet, because I can see the word quiet being a major part of your marketing. Yep. It's not something most people think of.
Secluded, quiet, yep.
And can I give you one more hint? If I don't camp, mind you, I'm a hotel reservations kind of gal. But if I were to be looking for a campground, it would also mention stargazing. If I were camping, I'd want a stargazing thing.
Yep.
So something to capitalize on for stargazing is the areas, the national parks out here are the only nationally registered national parks that are registered as black sky.
I know,
parks.
I love that.
And so you need to capitalize on that as well with your campground.
Well, and the other thing I put in, I'll put watch the sunrise, go to sleep over the Bears Ears, is how I kind of.
I like that.
In fact, here, I'll just read it really quick if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Because my mom, bless her heart, she was trying, And she changed my wording, and that's fine. But I was kind of sad because I really liked how I had it worded. But for the business listing, I was in charge of that, so I did it my way. Oh, I'm on the wrong email. Sorry. I'll share it with you next time. That way we're not taking up other people they have.
I actually think it's you and Sandbosch at this point. Oh no, wait, Shane came back. Hello, Shane and Carrie.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
So Shane and Carrie, do either of you have anything to add or any questions or anything like that?
Not really any questions. I appreciate the guidance. It was kind of enlightening. My favorite color is for my logo has been purple, and creativity was one of my values. So I thought that was interesting how that worked out.
Good.
So
good. Were you here when I said if I were to pick, I would probably have picked orange for you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Not that you have to go with anything.
I disagree.
You to go with yours.
Respectfully.
It's all good. It's all good. Orange is not one of my favorite colors either. I tend to wear the cool colors as a general rule, but I do like my warm green that I use in my branding color. That one warm color is one of the ones I enjoy. So
okay, anyway. I found it. If you guys
go for it, let's hear it.
So breathtaking views of the Abajo Bears Ears Sleeping Ute Mountains. Enjoy the sunrise creep over the horizon of Colorado. Welcoming another spectacular morning. In the evening, enjoy the sunset. Go to sleep over the Bears Ears National Monument in Utah. The campground is located on 20 acres of private land outside of the edge of town. Nice, quiet, secluded, spacious, dry camping spots with no amenities. Juniper trees, sagebrush, cactus, yucca plants, and best of all, Anasazi culture sites are found throughout the private property and adjoining public lands. The 5 Kiva culture site and a natural bridge are within walking distance. Great for a morning or evening hike to explore this beautiful scenery in southeastern Utah.
I also love the Anasazi mention. Because I love history and architecture and whatnot. Boy, you that was good. Oh. The thing that didn't get the thing that stops me is the dry and no amenities part.
I was gonna say the no amenities part is like, but here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing about that is right now it's nomad, entrepreneur, like crazy. That's what it's all about, is the go where no amenities are, where it's nice and quiet, and set up camp for 90 days or more. And that is what it's all about. If you get on YouTube, if you get on Instagram, that is the cool thing to do right now. And we should be attracting that right into this area. And that's just a huge part, and could be a huge part of your marketing.
Well, and I would say, instead of using a negative, use the positive, because really it's a return to nature, a return to the rustic. Yeah. And people are looking for those things, because I don't camp, but I tell you, the idea of going somewhere where my kids don't have their electronics doesn't sound so horrible. I'm finding that all the time. But that's one thing I'd always recommend is don't start with the negative, turn it into a positive. Because people will see that as a benefit instead of something that you're lacking.
Yeah. So change the wordings on, instead of no amenities, change that to just like Talia said. Talia's got a way with words that's amazing. Change that so that it is a positive, but says the same thing.
That is an excellent idea. Thank you. Yep.
Oh, I did want to also say, because you are working with family, that's one of the more difficult ones, just because everybody usually has an opinion. But when you're working with a committee and you want to come up with core values of the business, a very similar process can help you, but you want to shift, instead of what my core values are, what's at the heart of me, shift to what the core values of the business are. What is the heart of everything we do? And when you move to that direction, you usually can get there with your whole group. And when you have the buy-in of the whole group, it's so critical to a business doing well. The whole group has to set those core values and believe them to their core. We are almost out of time. I want to quickly mention Megan and I have talked about me coming down to do branding, photography, and headshot work. So if you guys are interested, get back with Megan or reach out to me through my contact information. If you've gone to grab the free ebook, you'll be on my email list, and I can send you a note and let you know if I'm coming. So if that is something that you're interested in, Megan will have that information, and I would love to come down and spend time in beautiful Blanding. Mesa Verde and the Four Corners, some of the funnest experiences in my memory. I love that area. So anyway.
Poor Jennifer has to follow us around all the time, and we made her do it for a year.
I love the two of you.
We made her do it for a year. We had 12 photo shoots in a year, and
Super fun.
It was crazy, but it was a lot of fun. She does an amazing job.
I hate having my picture taken, and Jennifer, by the end, even now I will smile for the camera, and I'm like, I know what to pose like.
We taught her how to pose, and yes, her back hurt after the first shoot, but after that, we got good.
Really did. We missed Angie on here. I didn't realize we had missed Angie. Angie, do you have anything you want to add before we shut down for the night?
Sorry, I clicked unmute a while ago and then I kind of missed the opportunity. So I've had some people do several logos throughout the years, and the first one, I just kind of threw an idea out there and he kind of just, scaled it up or whatever. And then this last logo, I thought it was going to be kind of the same process. And the conversation I had with the guy was over an hour long. I came home, I told my husband that was the most intimate conversation I had about our business. But he went off of everything Jennifer was saying, the color, the shape, everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to this. So I think it's really helpful. Everything you gave, Jennifer, was huge help.
Oh, I'm so glad it was helpful. It is a process, which is, as I was saying earlier, I have heard a lot of photography people complain about. They just showed up and took pictures, and they're beautiful pictures, but they don't actually mean anything. And I'm like, that's not how I'm going to do it. That doesn't serve you. Yeah. And I want to serve you, and I want your success more than anything. I want you successful.
Yeah. I like your logo tells a story, because a lot of people it's not a story at all. So I really like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really means a difference. Yeah, it was. I've had photo shoots done for years. I've done 4 businesses and things like that. So I thought I knew it all. I really did. I thought I knew it all. And then I meet Jennifer, and I was thought it was just going to be another photo shoot, and she gives us this 4-page questionnaire about our business and our core values and what we want to portray. And I'm like, what the heck is this? I just want another photo shoot. And so we actually had to sit down and write out all of this stuff. And by the time we sent it, we're like, wow, this was really good. So it was a whole different experience. And here's the thing, the reason why you want a branding photographer versus a regular photographer, or if you're using a regular photographer, have a really in-depth conversation with them. It's just really, really important. This is what I want my photos to say. This is what I want to portray, because you can look at a picture, just like we showed with those 2 different pictures, and look and see the different image and the different viewpoint that you're putting across. Like I said, I had a green face in the one. I used that for 4 years, and now I'm embarrassed by it. But it's a really great example. No, I think it's great. I should have known. The fact that I didn't pick that up, and I knew all the color stuff. I knew all the color stuff, but I had a green face, and I didn't pick that up. It's just it's really, really funny, but she picked it out in seconds, and she asked me what I was trying to portray. I was doing a masculine pose and being almost over. I was attracting men into my business, which is not a problem. It just wasn't my ideal client. I was attracting completely opposite of what I want, because I'd just gone with regular photographers before, and they had taken really great pictures. They were lovely, but that wasn't attracting the right people to my business and what I wanted to do. So anyway, long story short, know your story, know what you want, know your core values, and then portray that, let that know known in the pictures that you put up there, and let that be your brand and put that across all your platforms. So anyway, super excited. So next week we have Pratt Red from Blanding Economic Development. He's going to talk about creating your website and putting that together. I'm super excited. I've never seen Pratt teach before, but I hear he's absolutely amazing. I'm super excited to see that. So we will see you guys all next week at 6 o'clock on Thursday evening with Pratt Red. So you guys have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week. If you have any questions, go ahead and give us a call here at the SBDC, or you can request some time with me on the Utah SBDC website under the Blanding location. You guys have a wonderful night.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Thank you.